Hello everyone, welcome to Murthy IT. This is Subbu. As part of this video, we are going to discuss what is optional class and features of it. Basically, optional class given to avoid the null point exception. Null point exceptions రాకుండా so avoid చేయనీకి we got the optional class. And also it got some utility methods. It has some utility methods. So while handling null pointer exceptions with optional class, we can use those methods. So basically, why optional class? I have created a class with employee ID and employee name and constructors and setters. I created a employee object with employee ID 101 and Venki. So I'm calling get empid, it is returning 101, and get employee name dot uppercase. It is converting that value with uppercase. Until and unless we'll get the when we get the value, not a problem. But when we didn't get the value, on that value, if you call any operations or if you do anything, we'll get the null pointer exception. See, the same case, I created second object with 102 employee ID and I'm not passing the employee name. So now get emp ID, it returns the 102. Get emp name, it returns the null. So this null I am trying to, whenever I got null, the employee name for second object, I am trying to call uppercase. Then I got the null pointer exception. So this, in this cases, in this such scenarios, how to handle the null pointer exception by using optional class, we'll see. So optional class has some utility methods. So from those, the empty method. So if you want to create an empty optional object, we use the empty method. Off method. So if you want to create optional object with provided value or provided object, we can use off method. But off method, when value or object, whenever we pass, right? So if it is not present, so when no value present, so we are passing value, if it is not present, it throws the null pointer exception. Off method. Off nullable. So off and off nullable purpose is same, only to create optional object with provided value or object. So when value is not present, so whatever value we are passing, that value is not present, then off method throws the null pointer exception, but off nullable returns the empty object when no value present. So we are passing value. If it is null, means off method throws the null pointer exception. Off nullable won't throws the null pointer exception. So that is the thing. These three are the static methods in optional class. Get method is used to get the exact value of the optional object. So we put our value or object in optional object. So from the optional object, if you want to get the exact our value, if you want to get, then we use the get method. So while getting, if value present, okay, we'll get the exact value. If value not present, get method throws the no such element except no such element found exception. So is present method to check value or value is present or not. If value present, it returns true, otherwise it returns false. If present, so if value present, so it returns the consumer provided value. So consumer provided, by using consumer, we can return we can write the logic that provided logic. So the consumer returning value we can return. So if value present, otherwise it won't do nothing. If present or else, if present or else, it's not belongs to Java 8. We got this method in Java 9 basically. So if value present, it returns it invoke the consumer logic. If value not present, it invoke the runnable logic. Or else, if value not present, value present, okay, it returns that particular value. If value not present, means it returns we can return our own value. Or else get, so returns the supplier provided value. So RLs and RLs get both are the same, but in RL's case, we can return our own value when value is not present. In the case of RLs get supplier returning value, we can return. RLs throw, whenever value not present, we can throw our own exception. So that's all about these all methods. Overall idea I have given. Let's see coding wise how to do these all methods. So first what I am doing, I have created one employee object. I created one employee class. Open. I created employee class with these properties and created setters and getters. I have created object for that employee. So I am trying to print those values, and that employee name I am converting to uppercase. So running that. So running. So I am trying to print those values. Okay, let me run. I am trying to print that employee object values. So it's printed. So when value is presented, okay, but when key I am making null. So in this situation, how it will be how it will will it print or will it throw null point exception? Compulsorily null point exception also. So in such cases, how to handle the null point exception? By using optional object, we'll see now. So from that, right, we'll see the first empty method. So empty method, see, for saving the time, just I have given the comments. Okay. Again, we want to print everything here. It takes time, right? So empty method to create the empty optional object. So let's write the coding. So empty optional to create the empty optional object basically. So then I called optional.empty. This empty method, what it is doing, it returning the, so it creates an empty optional object and it is returning that. So it returns the optional type. So simply I am printing that empty optional. So we'll get, if you print this right, we'll get the optional object with empty. Still we are getting null point exception. I am just commenting that line. So run as Java application. Optional empty. So empty method, that's it. So our next method is off method. Off method is our next method basically. Let's discuss. So next method is off. Off method to create the optional object with provided value or object. So if you want to set our value to optional object by using off method, we can set any value if you want to put, or if you want to set our value to off method. So simply optional dot off, we need to call optional dot off. So now what I want to set, my employee object name I want to set. So emp1 dot get emp name. So like this, right, you can set any integer primitive value, or student object, employee object, list object, map object, anything you can set. Whatever value you are setting, that type it returns, that type it returns. So ఏ వాల్యూ అయితే సెట్ చేస్తున్నామో ఆ టైప్ రిలేటెడ్ ఆప్షనల్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ ఇది రిటర్న్ చేస్తుంది అనమాట. సో రిటర్న్ టైప్ ఏంటి, ఎంప్లాయీ నేమ్ అనేది స్ట్రింగ్ టైప్ కదా. సో నౌ అవర్ ఆప్షనల్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ టైప్ ఆల్సో ఇట్ విల్ బికమ్ స్ట్రింగ్ అనమాట. సో నౌ ఆప్షనల్ నేమ్, it is optional name. So it is optional name. Now if you print right, this out optional name, if you print now, so now what it will print, run as Java application. So value is not present. So as per my definition, what I said, whenever we are providing, that providing value is not present, because in employee object, if you observe right, name we are sending null. So we are providing null value to the off method. Whenever we are providing null value, if you provide null value to the off method, then it throws the null pointer exception. So now I am changing to Venki here. I'm changing to Venki here. So now observe. So now we won't get any null pointer exceptions. So optional of Venki we got or not. So if you observe internal implementation of off method, so when the coming value, whatever we are providing value, if it is null, so మనం ప్రొవైడ్ చేసే వాల్యూ కనుక నల్ అయితే here it is throwing null pointer exception. Otherwise returning that object, providing object or providing value. So that is the about off method. So our next method is off nullable. So off nullable also to create optional object with provided value or object. But the difference between off nullable and off method is whenever value is not present means off method throws the null pointer exception. But in the case of off nullable, whenever value not present, it returns the empty optional object. So here what I am doing, the same here, changing the method of nullable. So changing here one. So remaining code is same. So now I am passing here. I'm passing null. I'm passing null. Remaining it behaves like only like off method only. It behave like off method only. So run as Java application. So it's giving which method? Off method. It's giving this method, not off nullable. That's why I'm commenting this line. This one in I'm commenting off method related logic. So now it is giving empty or not. So that is about off nullable. So if you see off nullable implementation, internal implementation, how they did, if value equal to null means they are returning empty. Otherwise, they are returning a new optional object with providing value. So that is these three are the static methods basically: empty, off method, and off nullable. So if you observe from these three methods, which is the best one? Off nullable is the best. Okay. So now our next method is get method. Let's discuss about get method. So get method to get the exact value of the optional object. So you set the value into optional object. If you want to get that value, so then if you want to get whatever we set at that value, if you want to get back, so by using get method we will call. So here then optional of, so sysout directly we can print, right? Sysout. So I am trying to get directly. So optional name one dot get. So we set employee name in optional object, that one. So we are getting. So anything that presented in optional object, if you want to get exact value, then what we do? We need to call get method. So run as Java application. So here, as per right what I said, if value is not presented, if value presented means it returns the exact value. But if value not present means it throws the no such element exception, right? It throws the no such element exception. That's why. So while calling get method, you should check the value presented or not in optional object. Otherwise manaki no such element exception vastadi anamata. Okay, so for our clarity, I will set here Venki. Now if you observe, it gives the exact value. Venki we got, right? So while calling optional object, we need to call get, is present method. So let's discuss about is present method. Let's discuss is present method. Next method is present. Is present method. So whenever we call is present method, if value present, it returns true. Otherwise, it returns false. So now I'm checking before calling get method. I am checking that. So optional name dot is present. So is present. Then I'm calling this method. I'm printing get. I'm calling get. Otherwise, it won't call. So if value not present means it returns true, it returns false, right? Then this logic won't be executed. So now let me execute it. So value presented means Venki Venki. So if value not presented means this line won't be executed. Okay, got clarity? So our next method is if present. So our next method is if present of consumer. So if value present, it invoke the consumer related logic. Basically, consumer what it do, whatever value we present, it takes and we can write our own logic, but it won't return anything. So let's write that logic. So optional name dot if present. So we are passing, so we are getting name right. That one we are printing, that's it. So if you don't, so whenever value will come, we can write our own logic, much logic also. So that name we can do uppercase, lowercase. So many related logic we can write, but I am printing that consumer related logic. Consumer just takes the input, so it won't return anything, just taking input. We'll get name now that I'm taking and printing that system dot out dot println of name. That's it. So if present only it prints, otherwise it won't print. So now value presented already. So now see, it is printing. It is printing. If value not present means it won't print. Let me change to null. It is. Let me change to null. I change it to null now. It won't print anything. It won't do anything. If value not present, it won't do nothing. It do nothing. Okay. So optional empty. So our next method is if present or else. So if present or else method, it takes the consumer and runnable. We can pass consumer and runnable related logic in this. If value present means consumer related logic, it invokes. If value not present means runnable related logic, it invokes. So let's write that logic. So option of name, if present or else. I'm calling this method not from Java 8. It given Java 9. This method got introduced in the optional class. This method not from Java 8. So now in the first space, whenever value present means what you need to do. So now I want to print. So name I take and I print. That's it. So simply name I take, I print whenever value is present. So simply here, when value is present, sysout that name I print. So if value not present, so I want to print. I want to print If value present, I want to print default name. So sysout system dot out dot then I want to print simply default name. Okay, so it is consumer related logic. It is runnable related logic. In between middle comma is there, right? So if value present, no, so the return type is what? String. String name it returns. String name it returns. Okay. It won't return anything. We are printing internally. If present, it will void. It is void type. It won't return anything. So now value presented, I think. So value is not presented. Default name it is printing. If value presented means whatever value it is presented, that value it will be printed. Okay, got my point. That is about if present or else method. So our let's see next method is. So our next method is or else method. So if value present returns the optional object value. Otherwise returns we can return our own value. So let's write the logic for that. So if value present means it returns the particular value, or else we can return our own value. So default name. So if value not present, we can return our own value anamata. So default name I am returning. So it return type what? String name. So sysout name I am printing. So now value presented means it return whatever value it is presented employee object. If value not presented means it prints the default name. It printed the default name. Okay. So our next method now. Our next method is now or else get method. So if value present will returns it returns the optional object, whatever value it is presented. It is not presented means supplier provided value. Supplier means it returns the value. It won't take any input, but it returns the value. So let's write the logic for that. So here same thing I copied. So instead of write, I am taking or else get. So or else get, it won't take any input. It won't take any input but returns the value, right? So I am returning here default name only. Simple. I am taking here simply variable name as name1. So run as Java application. If value present means whatever value it is presented, it prints that. Value not presented means default name it is printing. So finally, the last method is or else throw. Or else throw method. So whenever if value present means we can return that, it returns that value. But whenever not value not present means we can throw our own exception. So let's implement it that. Let's implement that. So same logic I have taken, but I changed the code. So here instead of write or else get, I am taking or else throw. So or else throw also I am taking a supplier one. So here I am throwing the new illegal argument exception. New illegal argument exception. What I am passing the message. So value not present. Value not present. So if value not present, it throws this exception. It throws the exception. Present means that whatever employee object having the name, it prints that. See, we are throwing illegal argument, value not present. So that's all about these 10 methods. So if you have any doubts, you can comment in the comment section. I will give more examples if you want. Okay. So this is the basic example and understanding about these all methods. So let's see now by using this by using these optional utility methods, how to do Stream API related logic. For that, I have created one method. This method will return list of employee objects. I have created 3 employee objects with these values. So Venki, Gopi, and salaries and employee ID. So our requirement is now, get the employee object by name. So if I pass any name, for that name matched employee object, we need to get. For that, we need to write the Stream API. Get the EMP object by name, by provided name. Okay. So for that, first I'm calling this list of employee EMP list equal to get EMP data. This method returns the list of employees. EMP list dot stream dot filter. So here this filter will get the employee object. Employee object dot get EMP name dot equals of first I am passing Venki. So with Venki we have already one employee, right? So then if it is matching, this Venki object will be returned. Then simply I am calling get method. So first find first method we have, right? Find first method, it returns the optional of employee. So find first, I'm calling on that, I am calling get method. So find first, it returns the optional object. On that I am calling get method to get the direct employee object. So then finally what it returns, this Stream API, it gives the employee object. Employee EMP OBJ. So I'm writing in next line. So now I'm printing this EMP OBJ. Sysout. So print EMP OBJ. So whenever we print, right? Whenever we print run as Java application. So here the previous one throwing the null pointer exception. As of now commenting this. So to run our logic. So it is printing, no doubt in that. But the thing is, with Venki, one employee is there in the list, it's coming. But so I'm changing the name with Devans. Whenever with Devans, no employee, with Devans name, no employee presented in the list, right? Now, what kind of will we get any exception, or what is the output now? Compulsorily. So now without checking, we are calling get method. Whenever value with given input, whenever value not presented, then get method throws the no such element exception, right? We will get now no such element exception. See, now we'll get the no such element. With they want no object presented in the list. No such element presented or not. No such element, it is giving exception or not. So that's why instead of calling directly that get method, we can call or else method. So we have many methods. You present or else. So in this case, we can call many methods. As of now, I am calling or else. So or else method, just I am with or else method, I am returning with or else get method, I am returning one normal employee object, new employee. Simple. So if with Devas, whenever values are not present, so just it returning the empty object. See, now employee object with all null values it is returning. But I don't want like this. I want to whenever with Devans value, with Devans whenever any employee with given input value not any employee object not presented in the list means I want to throw the exception. Then throw the exception, or else throw the exception. New exception of so no object presented, no obj, no emp presented, no emp existed with the given name, that is our message. Now see, with there was no object presented, now see run as Java application. So we are throwing exception or not, no emp existed with the given name. Like that we can practice with Steam API also. So that's all about these all methods. Okay, so thank you for watching. If you're watching first time, please subscribe and share our videos. Thanks everyone.